Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everybody's a Comedian, where we get all up in comedy's business. I'm your host, Keith Graver, and with me as my guests are a couple of fellow comedians and comedy partners, Mary Becquet and Suwon Weaver.
Yay.
Take a virtual bow. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
All right.
So, we're here to talk about your partnership in the world of comedy. So let's get right into it and go. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine and let's hear about your origin story. How long have you guys been partners in comedy?
Thanks. Since 2018, right?
2018. That's not even that way back.
Years.
Okay.
We've done a lot of different stuff though. Like we've had several iterations.
Mhm.
We start stuff together and then sometimes it spins off and then sometimes we start stuff alone. Then we're like, no, let's do that together.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Okay, since 2018. So how did you meet?
We met at the fourth wall.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were just, going a lot every day. And then we just, being not too many women that go to the fourth wall. So we just naturally kind of were on the same page, and Mary's awesome. So we just became friends. And also we were both like woo-woo ladies,
Yeah,
Mhm.
we totally are. And also like, I don't know if the same is true of you, Suwon, but I think it is. It's like, Keith, when you're a woman in comedy, you kind of have to have a strategy that you develop relationships with other women because, like, we have to watch out for each other.
Mhm.
So, we know that a woman we make friends of isn't going to, like, I don't know, drug us, throw us in the car. Right.
Yeah.
And so, when we met each other, first we were just like, oh, hey, let's make friends. We're both women in comedy. And then we're like, oh my God, we work really well together.
Yeah, you weren't sliding into each other's DMs
Instant
necessarily.
hatred either. No, we weren't.
Yeah.
We started with a larger group actually. There were four of us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Women
really?
comics. Remember Suwon? And we were doing the artist way, the four of us.
Yes, that's exactly. So, right. So like, yeah, we had four of us ladies, and we would have our little meetings and read together and then do the assignments. And then at the end of the artist way, after, we're intense and doing it every day for whatever, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then Hot Medusa came out of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we were like, hey, let's start a show. Well, let's define. Well, and then there were people that like, we shouldn't do it this way. And we were like, fine, you don't need to be in it.
yeah,
Well,
I was
because
going to
we
say
did,
that sounds like a lot of work, a four-way.
Yeah,
yeah.
it
It was
wasn't never going to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because and especially in the very beginning, we had one person that had very different ideas than the three of us. So then we're like, maybe it's not working out with you. And so then the three of us kind of launched it together.
Mhm.
And then after a while, it was Annegret Steiff. She's
I don't know if you know her.
sweetie. And
She's
she doesn't do comedy
amazing.
anymore. She doesn't do stand-up.
And
You
we
know,
love
I've seen a lot of that, especially from, I don't know your history with taking comedy classes. I know I started out in a comedy class, and I think I'm out of the entire class, which is about 11 or 12 students. I'm the only one who's still doing comedy.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a lot of people do it as sort of a workshop to improve other skills,
mhm.
like actors and stuff like that. So you see that a lot. Okay, so what would you say are the benefits of having a partner?
Well, I mean, for me, I feel like we are, we're different, obviously.
Mhm.
We just have different energies, we have different strengths. Mary, when I started, I had taken a long break from comedy, even though I had started like in 2008, and then I quit.
Mhm.
And I came back to it around like in 2000, I don't know. It's all like dates are all weird. Maybe end of 2017.
Mhm.
So Mary had more experience and I liked her, and I was like, oh, like she has great contacts, different contacts than mine. And we have like different things that we bring. So
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think it's two things. There's like, if you think about the partnership, you got inputs, which is people's experience and what they bring to the table, as well as the people that they know, like you said, the networks. and also just our attitude towards the work, the art, why we do comedy, like, and so that's the inputs, and the outputs of the partners. Like, you can do more shit with more people,
Mhm.
right? You spread the work out more. And plus, I felt like when we did Hot Medusa together for over a year. And so what we did, by the combination of both of us driving it, like, there was a wide variety of people who came to it. As a producer, Keith, who
Mhm.
you're bringing is basically your friends. The producer is doing, at least half of the work of bringing the people, usually, or more. And so
Mhm.
with the two of us, we found that we could pretty much always fill it. Yeah. And we shared the work with booking and doing flyers. And so I think that's the benefits. Also, aside from just that, there's the kind of the unquantifiable pieces of how what you're doing changes because you're doing it together, right? It becomes more of a group thing than any just one person's vision. So I like that too.
Wow,
Mhm.
that is honestly a very accurate breakdown for the people listening of how a partnership should work, successful one. I was going to say, it's the legwork, like doing all of the stuff for the productions and just booking comics and keeping up with the emails and doing all the graphics. Like, that's a ton of work. I don't think people realize how much
So
goes
much
into it.
work.
And so being able to split that up, um, and then also, yeah, like you said, the balance of your energy and what you can bring to the table. I know with Ed and I, we balance each other in so many different ways, and
Yeah.
in ways that people don't realize either. And I think people like to sort of make like this sort of comic observation of we're the odd couple,
Mhm.
but we have so many skills that actually do overlap. And I know for a fact, I can tell you, this would not even have gone into day two if there was one of us that was the I don't know which one in the odd couple was the disorganized one.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
we would have not even survived a week with that.
that's
um
Oscar. Yeah.
yeah,
It's,
so we're both very organized. We're
yeah.
both like, making folders in the email and putting and sorting all the emails and
Yeah.
replying to all that, and we take different jobs off the table. And yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into it. Um did you say, were there other partnerships before this that either of you had that were unsuccessful? Have you?
Well, I don't know. Like, our partnership has morphed. So we started the show together,
Mhm.
and then we decided to stop doing that together. And then, but we're still really good friends. And so then we decided to do this podcast together.
Mm. So you
Yeah.
have the Hot Medusa show, and the name of the podcast is Two Comedy Gals.
Yeah.
Nice. And it's animated, apparently. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and then Mary has her own. So Mary doesn't do Hot Medusa anymore. That's
Okay.
just me. And then Mary has her own show that she also does at
I
Flappers.
do my own
Called,
show at Flappers.
yeah,
Ready for
ready.
prime time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So then, after splitting up, we're like, all right, well, we still like working together. We still have things that we can offer each other, and we had a slightly different take, I guess, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, of how we wanted the show to go. And for me, I think I wanted to be a more activist and more, um, just have a very strong activist point of view. And I think, Mary didn't want to go that far in,
Mhm.
which, of course.
Yeah, you know what? And it's not like I'm anti-activist at all. Like, I support all the things. It's just the people that I bring, like my audience, my network. I couldn't get them to go to the shows, and so
Mhm.
I felt like, well, what? Am like I want. So that's why, like, my show was a clean show that's a bit more mainstream oriented.
Yeah. Well, that's what creates a healthy dynamic, is to acknowledge the differences and where they lie. I think a good partnership is built around all the stuff you agree on. Stuff you disagree on, that could be that's your solo album. Just go, and it's fine. Go do that. And there shouldn't be any qualms about whether, what you're doing as a side project versus, as long as you're bringing, like, you're bringing it the fair amount of work and effort to the table for the projects that you're both working on.
Right. Exactly.
Um, This is like couples therapy. This podcast so far for comedy.
I honestly, I feel like we have a super successful partnership because we talk about everything and like we work that shit out. Like that's why I love having a female partner because I'm like, are you mad? Right?
We have really worked stuff out because we have had to, like we have to we've had disagreements and we're like, damn it, we need
I'm mad at you right now.
So it's been good. It's been healthy.
Yeah. So are there any like, is there ever a time where your individual goals conflict with your sort of partnership goals? Meaning like, booking yourself personally on shows and that conflicts with what you guys have to do as a production team.
I don't know. Like I'm always encouraging. We're too like because I think typically female, like we don't even headline ourselves on our own fucking shows. And I keep telling her we should, but we just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, it's true.
We dabbled in that once last
Yeah.
year. We just, why not just try it,
Right? I mean, it's your show, right? If you're a good headliner, do it. But no, I don't think we've argued because we both were always like, yeah, we always get a spot. And we can have other people host or whatever. And that's the whole, I mean, in my mind, that's why you produce a show, right? Is so that you can have spots and trade spots.
Doing it for the stage time. That's it.
You know? But
Doing
I
it for
feel
the
like
likes.
I think we did have some disagreements at some points in people we were booking, and then so that's kind of where it broke down when two people were booking, but one show, and like I might think I have 3 spots left to book, and Suwon be like, "Oh no, I booked those," right? And so I think that's kind of where if I had that to do over again, I would have maybe made it, trading off one person book all of one show and one. How do you and Ed do it? Do you both book all the shows or do you trade?
What we do is we actually, this is super nerdy and you're going to love it. We have a weekly meeting on Tuesdays, and we sit, and whenever we're a few weeks out for a scheduled show, we sort of go down and agree on the lineup. And, like what it comes down to is sort of like you should be prepared to give over 50% of the effort, but also be prepared to give a little more than 50% of the leeway. And if you're flexible enough to do that, then everything should be fine. You got to know that it's not the Keith Graber show. It's Liar Comedy and Liar Comedy is built between Keith and Ed, and it's never going to be 100% Keith. So I just got to accept that. And so, I'm only going to have 50% influence on who goes on the lineup, and I should be, flexible enough to allow less than that if need be in certain instances. So, we kind of sit down and go through the lineup, and, as a producer, there's a lot that goes into balancing a lineup too, that a lot of people don't think about, in terms of like, people's energies. Have you had them on too recently? Or are they too busy? Will they not bring? All that kind of stuff like comes into play. Do you guys do the same thing or something similar?
Well, when we were doing Hot Medusa, we talked about having meetings, but then we were both busy, like both of us were working full time. And it was hard to keep track of all of that stuff. So I think that was part of our stuff that kind of fell apart too, is because I think like we missed a few opportunities to really collaborate, like really tightly, which is like what it takes.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to show off. We got lucky because we started in 2020, which is the longest snow day in history. So we were, both unemployed and sort of like had nothing but time in our hands and filled it up that way. And it's hard to maintain.
Suwon, I mean, don't you think it's made the podcast better because now we're a lot more careful with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, and I know this about myself, and you probably might even have picked the hint, Keith. I'm very controlling. Like, I like to control things. And like when I get stressed, that's my go-to. Like, well, I'll just take care of it and make the decision and we're done.
Mm.
And so, now we each have our show that we're each in control of. So you get that piece of it. But on the podcast, we're a lot more careful to always collaborate. Don't you think, Suwon?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we like have gone through our rough spots already. And I feel like, yeah, now we're in such a different place. And the podcast is really different because we have a guest on, one guest at a time.
Yeah.
And so we're not, it's different. And we're good about splitting the work on it, I think, and that kind of stuff.
How do you decide on the guests?
We just talk about it.
With each other, and then and same thing with balancing energies. You don't want too many white people, don't want too many California people, don't want, you want to mix it up and interesting. We like comedians who are interesting and have a story.
Yeah, and then same thing, like if they've been on or who's gonna flow well and who's gonna have a story that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. How often do you do the podcast?
We were doing it once a week.
Yeah,
but
we got like 8 or 9 in the can though, so we've taken a couple of weeks off. I think we have one tomorrow. When is she? Is that tomorrow?
Saturday.
So
yeah, when I started this, I made the promise to myself that I was just going to do once a month. So there's no way I can overbook myself. That
is great. It is hard
doable.
to do it every week.
Yeah, I have another podcast that's weekly, and that's starting to we gotta dial back on that one. I'm sorry.
Hey, Suwon, I do need to check the time because I didn't know that Lee made a nail appointment for me on Saturday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So what are some of the biggest factors that present a challenge or a conflict in a partnership that and how would you overcome them if you were giving advice to somebody who just started doing what you guys do? What would you say, to a young couple, like it was a wedding? Like, never go to bed angry.
Right. Yeah, I never followed that advice, which I thought was probably good advice. Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, I think that, you have to be willing to communicate and get uncomfortable because you're going to have disagreements, right? Like, this is just part of being human, is we're going to have personalities, and sometimes you're thinking that you're doing something that is working and it might not be working for the other person. So you kind of have to be willing to talk about it. You're going to have to be willing to compromise. If you're not willing to compromise, then it's just like, forget it. Don't even do it.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I think also you have to listen to each other. You have to trust each other. Because here's a good example. Okay. Sometimes I'll make decisions based on emotional stuff that's really maybe not valid. Like, I have this irrational hatred for someone whose name I'm not going to say, but I'm pretty sure you both know who it is.
Well, okay.
Right. And so sometimes I'll make decision that's based on that my emotional reaction to something that's only in my own mind. And Suwon is like the one person in my life can go like, girl, when she ever texts me that GRRLL ... I know, like, fucking up.
Well, you are very emotional. So to me, that's not a bad thing, and usually I feel like I can just like be like, hey. And then sometimes I have like my downsides too. Like, my downsides are like, I just rather go away. Like, you know what? So,
I think like having an awkward or uncomfortable or confrontational conversation is better than building like any kind of resentment.
Yeah. Or just quitting the partnership, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the way you're going to grow. Like, do you and Ed, like, do you have things where you'd be like, Ed, you're always, fill in the blank and it's not working for the partnership, or he says that to you? Do you guys ever?
We're very direct with each other.
The guy thing, I think.
Yeah, we don't have a problem. I don't like to walk away thinking I should have said this or I should have said that. And I don't have a problem when somebody says something to me that I don't like. I process it and I deal with it. I don't know if it's a guy thing. Maybe it could be. I don't know. Maybe it's an East Coast thing. Ed's from Pennsylvania, oddly enough, and so am I. And
Oh, that's right.
we're straight shooters pretty much. And yeah, I mean, you've seen that we do roasts and stuff. We're roast comics. Roast comics have tough skin.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want, whatever. It's either going to be right or it's going to be wrong. I don't care. But like it needs to be constructive. We need to do something about whatever the challenge that we have now is, and then move on. So I don't know. We kind of look at it that way, and we never really. I mean, we disagree quite often, and like I'm a little bit more of the wacky visionary in the, I'm like, let's do this type of show, this production. And, if Ed shoots it down, he shoots it down, whatever. Like that could be my side project.
Yeah, and you guys have all these great creative ideas. Like I love the shit show and all those different little segments and
yeah, and Ed has he's the executive on Locked in a Dungeon, which is a comedians playing Dungeons and Dragons production that's going to come out soon. It's going to stream on Twitch. It's a pretty fun production. We had CT Adams. He did the rap song intro for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we hired a really good artist, Victoria Troller, and she does like anime and fantasy illustrations, and she sketched all of our characters.
Wow.
So there's me as a warrior monk dwarf, sketch. There's Christina as a little gnome. And so it's really just fun stuff just to have a good production, and then we do the roasts and we do the shows, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like there's no reason to hold back. Just do whatever works and have some fun,
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. And, because like, look, Suwon did all these graphics. Like Suwon's a visual artist where I'm like a finance person. So like we tend to cut things along those lines.
Yeah.
But it seems to kind of work out unless, I think it kind of tends to work out for us.
You need both. Yeah, you need that. Like those finance skills, like that's the organizing. So that's what Ed does. That's where he comes from. He, oddly enough, we both come from a culinary background. So I'm a chef and he's a kitchen manager. And so he has the breakdown for all the, all the money, he makes the spreadsheets, and, I'm used to like, hey, check this out. It's delicious, like the artful, stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, it's good to have that balance, and you definitely need somebody that is going to have a good head on their shoulders when it comes to keeping track of money and making spreadsheets and accurate recordings of things, because that's what you're dealing. That's what at the end of the day you're doing this, and you're taking in money. We're not maybe doing it for the money. I just laughed at myself with that concept, but
oh my God, we used to lose so much money on hobby.
Right?
My God, don't even.
But you still want to keep track of how much you're losing, right?
Well, this is an interesting thing, right? Because there are comedians who do shows that they're doing it for the money. It's very specific, and I don't know. That's a really interesting. It's like, it's interesting to have that take, and like to say like, I'm only doing this for the money, and then the way that you're booking and how you're producing it is all because you're going to make money. But like, I don't really feel super wonderful just making money off of my friends like this. Like, I want it to be more organic, Yeah.
We're in the in between.
Yeah, I do it to create spots for people and to create opportunity. Like that's what I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Grow, just like so many people help me by putting me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in the in-between world. There is money to be had in this business, but like I feel like you have the sort of the new comic bringer show system as a business model, and then there's the headliner and big name system and we can name. I know producers who do both, and I'm sure they make money. I know they do make money at both systems, but we're in this in-between ground where we're the mid-grade comics that are trying to make a name for ourselves, that are just basically producing this to have something to show a body of work and to get stage time and all this other stuff. So yeah, everyone at every show is like friends and family. Like there, I don't even know, like we have a show coming up on the 7th, and have you guys booked the Chateau yet?
Not yet.
We have not, no.
Yeah, you probably will. Everyone's doing it all. So, like all your friends are doing it. So now
I'm
you're gonna
excited about your show. I'm definitely coming.
it's going to be fun. But the thing is, like, I'm sure every single person in the audience is going to be like, a friend or a family, someone the comics know, and that's great. It should be that, but it's different than the dynamic of other shows. And I think that's where the money is, when there's a market, either the public want to see a big name, or, lots of bringers on a lineup that are doing comedy for the first time, and they can bring in tons of people. So I don't know. Do you think we're just in the middle ground and there's some growing pains?
Yeah, that's what Mary and I have called ourselves, that we're in the mid.
Honestly, we have, because it's like, if you're doing comedy for money at our level, you're doing it wrong,
Mhm.
right? You're
Well,
not going to make money till the end.
Well, I mean, I want to make money, like going on tour and get paid doing comedy, but I feel like these shows are more like a labor of love to get to do the other shows and go on the road, because then I'm establishing myself as like a producer and a regular performing comic, and like being able to bring an audience and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Like just saying like I'm gonna make money off of this show. And like what's a good amount of money then? Like what would be I mean, like not $30.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know? Okay, if I'm gonna make money, then what does that even mean? Like I'm gonna be making like I want $500 then. Like, otherwise we're not, what are we talking? I don't know. Am I being weird? It's hard to say.
No, that's I mean, if you want to make a living, if you have no other source of income, that's what you would need, to make this viable. And the numbers just aren't there for the most part, so it's a grind. You have to, I did a shift from, I was a chef, and I made the choice that no, I want to focus on comedy. And you can't just like on a Monday be a chef, and on a Tuesday you're a comedian.
Right.
You'll be broke and living on the street as a comedian and not being a chef. So there's this transition period where you're ramping up comedy shows and you're ramping down chef gigs, and you're prioritizing one over the other. And I think it's taken me about a year and a half to get like to a point where now I can prioritize comedy and sporadically take chef gigs.
Yeah, I've been in that space 5 years, Ed, and I'm still, I definitely prioritize comedy and acting, but money wise, the day job is still a heavy hitter for me.
Yeah. Well, is acting your what is your day job, Mary?
I'm a consultant for a financial company.
Okay.
A heavy hitter.
Right. That's a good day job. I thought you were going to tell me that acting was your day job.
No, acting, that's when I fuck off from my day job.
Mhm.
I can tell them I'm.
And there's an overlap between acting and comedy, right?
Yeah.
Where there's promotion, self-promotion and branding and stuff that overlap for sure. And
Not only that, I think there's some skill sets, like especially if you do characters as a comedian.
Mhm.
On stage, a stand-up has to go into character like that. It's different from going into character as an actor, but I think there's some similarities. Like if you get to where you can go into character quickly, then you have that skill set.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Are there any actions that you guys do? Are there any like what do they call it? Self-care? Are there any self-care procedures that you do to maintain a healthy relationship with each other, a good partnership? Do you like socialize? Do you go out to dinner? Do you do things like that to make sure that
Well,
that
we
you're
just had a
firing on all cylinders? Sorry.
long COVID break.
Mhm.
But you know what? We do the cacao journeys. Like we do woo-woo stuff. We do shamanic journeys and shit.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, is it goat yoga? What is it? Like, is it hiking?
The girl that started goat yoga as a friend of mine, she went to yoga training. We went to yoga training together years ago.
Sweat lodging. Yeah. What, like, are there any spiritual journeys?
We
But
do.
right, it can't just be all business.
No, we're
because-
friends. We're
yeah.
real friends. And so, yeah, we used to get together and go have drinks and have dinner and stuff like that. And then I got sober, and so I didn't drink, but now I drink again.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we do our little journeys together and have little get-togethers.
Mhm.
I think it's also like the self-care that we do is we're careful about our relationship, and we really also we share where we are in our spiritual journeys, and we have that in common, so that's it's something that we have something in common besides just all the comedy stuff that we do.
Mhm.
Like to me, Suwon, that brings a strength and a resiliency to
Mm.
our regular world partnering.
Yeah. And so, and you never experienced like competitiveness with each other?
Oh, all the time.
Really? All right. This is the dirt section of the podcast, everybody. So if you want to pause and get a drink, make some popcorn, this is where it gets good. No.
I'll go first because I'm always jealous, and I am often like I'll talk about it. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. Like they shame themselves if they feel jealous. But jealousy is a human emotion, and I will
Oh, we're
die
jealous
my grave.
animals. Yeah.
Dang it, fine.
Comedians are jealous animals
We are.
by
It's
nature.
totally normal.
Mhm.
But like the thing with me and Suwon, it's just like, oh hey, who books them?
Yeah.
Easily ask, or we could even say like, I'm so jealous. Like I'm so jealous of you were on the show last night or the night before, Suwon, and you're all like, oh, I regret that. And I'm like, well, I wish I had a chance to regret it, Suwon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's healthy. I don't feel like it's like we're jealous to the point of like it's a problem, you know. It's more like we're jealous and then we still support each other and try to always help. To me, it's like a good jealousy.
You sort of have to bring it back to the like you're going out for provisions and you bring that back to the to the community.
Right. You can't like wallow in it or let that emotion own you, but it's okay to be aware of it and acknowledge like, yes, I feel jealous. I mean, there was this one lady who's a way less experienced comic than me, and she booked like a really great gig. And I was so jealous. And I said, like, I'm so jealous. And it ended our friendship because she was just like, ooh, get
Oh,
it.
really? Yeah. Meanwhile, 9 other people where it felt exactly the same way, but just didn't iterate that. And she's still friends with them.
Maybe I talk too much. I'm not sure.
You know, I think
Probably more.
this is a weird thing with comedians, right? With shows. Like when you're booking your show, you obviously have a certain amount of spots. You do them more often. Yours is every week, right? Like you do a show every single week.
We do once a month for the live show, stand-up showcase.
Oh, it's only once a month. For some reason, I thought it was more often.
We were every 2 weeks, and then we dropped down. We just wanted to make people miss us more. I don't know.
Right. Well, so, and then you have people that you want to book and then people that are probably pitching you to get on the show, but you can't have everybody. Like, you only have a certain amount of spots. And I actually end up feeling really bad that there's people that I know I would like to have on or I didn't get to. And then I feel like it creates something weird, like I don't mean to diss anyone, but it's almost like you just can't. Like, what are you going to do? You only have a certain amount of spots.
Yeah, it's sort of a catch-22 when you're producing. And I wonder also if you're producing, does that sometimes backfire on getting booked on other people's shows? Because people assume you have too much going on and you're not going to be a big bring because you have your own productions.
Right. I've thought about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I it's weird, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, being jealous with myself. I don't even know what emotional fault that is, but it's just like you know, I always question everything. Like, is this something? Are they? Is this a slight? Is this whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel
Um,
bad. I seriously feel bad. So, like if there's I can easily think of like 5 women that I never got to have on that I feel like what kind of trash am I that I didn't have them on, because they're awesome. But then it's like,
And you think, like that's a bit where we're a little bit different too, because like I feel like, look, I've suffered for 12 years wanting to get booked and not being booked for whatever reason on a million shows. So I don't feel bad about the people.
mm,
If I'm going to book someone, it's because I'm wanting to fill out a lineup in a certain way,
mhm.
even like with ethnicity or people who I haven't had before or people who are older or LGBTQ. Like I want to balance it.
Mhm.
So I do not feel bad. And also, I like to do what Suwon doesn't like to do, which is I'll give short spots. I'll give 3 minute spots,
Mhm.
right, to a white lady. And you know what? Knock yourself out with your 3 minutes. And remember, Suwon, like we disagreed on this because she's like, no, such a short spot. It's disrespectful. We should, But so it's always a trade off, but it's our business, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
And
has to deal with it.
we have a similar dynamic, although it's sort of different. Like those, it's the same kind of balance, but there's a couple pieces in it different places
Hmm.
with me and Ed. And like I like to always have an inclusive. I'm always pushing for the inclusive thing, but then you know I feel weird like I'm playing like ice cream flavors with people, and it's just it feels wrong. And Ed's like, I don't care, fuck whoever, like he goes more for did they make me laugh, that
mm,
kind of thing. And then but then you're also factoring all these other things like does this person bring a lot? We know certain people always bring. There's a couple people who always bring, so you know that they get thrown in to the mix. And I don't know, there's all those kinds of factors, and you just it's a weird to like it's a weird business to be playing like chess,
yeah,
with a lineup with real people, you know.
But also, guys, we're producers. We're producing entertainment,
Hmm.
right? And like, I was super careful in the lineup for my show on Sunday. Remember, Suwan? I was very careful. I had my not too many white people. That was my mantra. And
Hmm.
that was the best. I think that's the best show I've ever produced.
it was a great show. That
It's
was a
amazing because I'm just like, I'm going to give all these other people a chance that maybe I haven't seen them because I'm not in the shows they're in. And I'm like, and it was, so I think that we're producing entertainment and you have to think about that shit when
Yeah,
you're, I just really think
I
you
yeah,
do think about it because we're, as inclusive as you are personally, the world doesn't know that. The world's seeing your lineup, the world's seeing your flyer, the world's seeing your show, and they think, liar so white or this or that, whatever their reaction is. So you're nothing until you show people what you are, if especially in the entertainment world. But I've had the opposite sort of. I've had situations where lineups shows are fun and whatever because of a certain dynamic that exists between the people on the lineup.
mm,
The rapport is way more important. Is one of the biggest factors, especially with the shit show. Mary, like you were when your episode of the shit show was one of, if not the best shit show ever. And I'm not going to take credit for the writing. Like the writing was not there for that to be a good shit show. That's not it at all. Like for some reason, the rapport of that lineup is what made that show happen. And I think I had 4 white women, you know, 2 white guys.
yeah, we were
Right.
all,
And
I think I remember going like, ooh.
yeah. And sometimes I do try to make sure that lineups are inclusive, and but sometimes I just let go and it works. It's weird. It's I don't know. It's hard to navigate those waters, right?
yeah. And sometimes, well, on your show, on the shit show, it's different because there's like that there's specific questions and that kind of stuff. So that's like different than doing like your
Then stand up
sets.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do feel like on my show, even I have all these things like in mind, dynamics and age and ethnicities and not having it be all white, and it's all women anyways, regardless. Um, But then, I think that some of the dynamic is because I'm also outgoing and friendly and wanting everyone to get along well and create a rapport that's
Mhm.
like before the show,
Yeah,
So,
that's
it's palatable, I think, when the show starts that, people can notice. It's like, it feels good.
I think definitely people do notice that. So,
yeah.
Mhm.
like the last thing I want to say about this is I really see it like I'm a white woman. I definitely have all this privilege, right? And there's not a lot I can do to change the world. Like just physically, I already have 3 jobs. I can't be out protesting and stuff. But this is something I can do to, like, in a small way, push back against institutionalized, right, racism that exposes me only more to other white people,
Mhm.
right? And so for me, I take it seriously as an opportunity to make just the tiniest bit of difference. I really, it's important to me.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's great that you said that. It's
Yeah.
nice. Mm.
Yeah, we try to do the same thing with liar comedy. Just gonna people, I'm gonna take credit for what Mary said and say samesies, ditto to that. No, I'm kidding.
That's why I love you guys.
Yeah, but no, we try to be. We also try to be organically inclusive, and we just want to make everyone feel welcome. Nobody's out for any reason whatsoever, and then whoever stays stays.
Well, that's the reason why your mics sell out like that, right?
Right?
Done.
I was gonna say about the show thing. So one thing that we tried with the Monday mics, we tried to spice up life and make it like this fun, crazy. Ed and Keith are the two Muppets that just heckle everybody or whatever, and just have crazy tags and make a fun mic. And it ended up happening is just turned into a regular mic, because people they didn't take it as seriously. They came and went, and we basically came up with a cure for quality. So we're going back to the regular liar mics, which are you're locked in the room.
Yeah.
There's a good rapport. These are good comics. Everyone's here. They're serious about comedy. It's inclusive. People are friendly. But it's for grown adults. It's for people who are grown and sexy. This isn't like no jackasses allowed. We're not going for all the comedians that look like they smell like cigarettes, that just want to, like, that they look like they live outside. You know what I mean? You know who I'm talking about.
There's a lot to be said for 1 hour. You're in, you're out. It's
Yeah.
efficient.
Yeah. And it's fun. And like we have a rapport almost every night. We know everybody, we start to remember like people's material, like we can do other comics material
Yeah.
so we're building some sort of like comedy community. I think that's important too.
I
Yeah.
think it's really important because it's so positive, right? And we're all drawn together like little positive neutrons, right? Someone who hits your mic one time goes like, "Oh, this is nice." And I know like a lot of other comedians, I won't even mention any names, who are like comedians like us at our same level who are doing mics and not at all the same vibe. A
Mhm.
lot of like, "Ugh, stuck here."
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get that memo that it can be nice.
Yeah. We're like when you go to, I don't know, like a department store and they have like a couch in the women's room or something, you know what I mean? And there's like, it's well lit and there's like music playing. Like that's our vibe, is like, no, we care here. Like we give a shit,
Exactly. Wash
Yeah.
your hands. Take your time.
Yeah.
Would you care for a mint? Yeah, there's
Put your feet up. Just relax.
yeah. So okay, let me ask you this. Individually, what are your comedy goals for the future? And how does that contrast with what maybe your team production goals are for the future? So we'll start with you, Suwon.
Um, of course I want to have a comedy album and go on tour and be an internationally known comedian and actor, right? That's not even a joke. That's just what I really want. Someone asked me the other day, like, if you would have something like you could have your wish of something that it wouldn't go wrong. And I was like, well, then yes, I'd love a Netflix special right now. If it can't go wrong, give me a special right now. But in the meantime, I'm just working on my, hour
Mhm.
and just on my own, right? Like I don't have to be performing it out there yet. And how does it conflict? Well, I mean, so if Hot Medusa right now is more like a labor of love, and even our podcast too, it's a labor of love. Like we're doing it because we love it, not because of money, not because, but really because we want to have spots and give spots and perform and kind of do something that's like bigger than just me getting on someone else's show.
Mhm.
Then maybe that might have, is as I become a more of a touring comedian, then maybe
Yeah,
there's less time to do this. But we'll
I
see
can
what
see that. Yeah. And Mary?
Gosh, you know what? Actually, my comedy goals, I've always done comedy because I want to do acting, right? So I love comedy because I get to write my own material and do it how I want. And there's a fast turnaround cycle. But also, like, my first love is really acting. And so for me, what my goal would be to get a great part on like a sitcom or something.
Mhm.
And then just every so often I would be able to go out and tour a little bit like on the weekends. But I don't want to be a touring comic.
Mhm. Yeah,
I've seen that life and I
it's a grind.
don't right.
Yeah.
Not even toured a lot, but enough to know like, nope, that's not what I want. But I love to make people laugh. I love to give folks like a little vacation from their everyday life.
Mhm.
So for me, that's what I get out of it. I'd like to have my acting. And then if I'm a bigger name on a show, then I can get booked and I don't have to go chase and send EPKs all over. So that'd be my goal.
Mm. So let's say both of you achieve your goals. What would the future look like for the Mary Becquet and Suwon Weaver joint? You know, what type of, so Mary Becquet, you're a famous actor on a sitcom.
Right.
Suwon Weaver, you're a touring comedian with a bunch of albums under your belt,
Oh, you could put acting in there. I mean, I've had years of acting experience.
and as some guest spots on Mary's sitcom, cameos. What production would you guys cook up together?
I have an idea. I mean, to me, I would want to make a road comedy with Mary and have like a movie with
Mhm.
me and Mary being like crazy fucking
Off the road.
bridesmaids.
Yes.
Yep, like an
Like,
80s movie, like a comedy romp. You could steal a
yes.
car.
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like maybe we rob a bank. I
Mhm.
don't know. Like we have to dress up like mafia sometimes.
Like Dumb and Dumber. You're yeah, you trade your van for a moped.
I think that would be hilarious. And like we're meeting all these strangers and you just
Mhm.
tell lies. I mean, not because you're a big liar, but just because like you're just in the moment, right? You're just like improving. I think that would be a blast. I would love to still have our podcast too, because I think we could do it from wherever we are. And I love talking about comedy with other comedians and, especially women.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I would love to keep on doing that.
I love it. I love all those ideas. Look out, Joe Rogan. Um,
Yeah. I mean, please.
We're
don't
the anti-Rogan. No,
don't
we're not.
dream it. Do it. I can't wait to. I especially the movie where you know, Suwon and Mary travel the country. Cross
Right?
country. Yeah, the Cannonball Run,
Oh my
The
God.
Hot Medusa
Like
Run.
Thunder Force, but with comedy.
Uh-huh.
We'll
Yeah.
have superpowers.
So I'll look out for that in my Netflix upcoming.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we've reached the end and we're at the part of the episode where you get to name your episode. So, what would you name this episode? You guys can pitch some ideas here. It's like a writer's room, there's no wrong answers, but we'll make fun of you for bad ones. No, I'm kidding.
Well, honestly, like I would even just call it like the name of our podcast, Two Comedy Gals. Because
All right, that's an Uber plug.
it's like, why wouldn't we? It's like, wait, but I mean, we're all the three of us are together.
Well, no, it's fine, but you're getting like heavy editing. Like, so wait, the name of our episode is delete the first 7 letters of yours. And no, go ahead. What do you think, Mary? What's your pitch?
It could also be like Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse.
There we go.
Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse. Would that
The Housewives of the West Valley. But we're not housewives.
I am not married to my mother, so no thank you.
that could be the plot of your movie. One of you has a rich uncle who dies, and you have to you inherit his house in like Nantucket or something. You have to drive cross country, you know, in a car that whatever to get the dream house, and antics ensue.
Yeah, we could use my mom's Camry because that would be ridiculous.
Oh my God. That's
And then you live there and just have comedy shows in it, and it ruins the whole property.
Yeah. It may be a barbershop. I don't know.
Okay, so we're going with Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse.
yeah, or it could be Comedy a Go-Go. I think that's already been taken, hasn't it?
Comedy a Go-Go.
Yeah.
Sounds dirty. That's probably something Sally's into. I'm sure of it.
What's the one with the guy that is the dead guy that they carry around, the
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's?
Weekend at Mary's, yeah.
Weekend at Mary. Why am I Bernie? Okay.
I have no idea. No, I don't know. But who's the dead person? Me?
Yes.
Weekend at Keith's.
Oh, wait. Comedy Oracle.
Comedy Oracle. Okay, we took a serious turn.
You like
Yeah.
the food. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay.
Comedy Oracle. Great. Let's do it.
I like Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse though. I don't know.
I like it too.
That was such a natural. Just rolled right out.
Let's vote. Okay. Who votes Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse?
I vote for it. Okay, so unanimous. I don't even know if I get a vote, but I just voted for it because it's the most fun one, and I could see that movie happening, you know. Like or like Black Sheep or something, you know, like the
Black Swan or something.
Right.
No, I meant like the movie Black Sheep, you know, where they do the David Spade and Chris Farley do the road trip. And it's like a road trip movie. Anyway.
All right, I'm gonna have to go watch that. Then. But ours would have way more stops at like Day Spa, Target, nail, hair
Which is what we do.
yoga classes. This is what we do when we tour.
We actually, that's what we did when we toured. We did yoga class. We got our nails done. We went to Target.
So many times. We went to Target in every city.
Nice.
And bought clothes.
What a record to have.
We're girls.
Okay, ladies, we've reached the end of the episode, and right now, if you want to plug anything, if there's anything you want to plug.
Yeah, let's plug. We'll plug our podcast, 10 Comedy Gals. We have new episodes drop every Friday, and this coming Friday, it's going to be Brooklyn Jones.
Yes.
Brooklyn Jones. Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Brooklyn.
awesome.
Awesome. So funny. I mean, it's not a funny podcast, actually. We're just talking about all the shit. So yeah, I like that. Mary has her show called Ready for Prime Time, and I have my show called Hot Medusa.
Nice. Lot of what do they call it?
Irons.
The phrase irons in the fire. Lot of irons in the fire.
And a movie to come.
Yeah, and the movie to come. Keep an eye out for Suwon and Mary's Dreamhouse.
All right, that'd be great. We gotta write that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get a writing credit in the.
You certainly do.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll trade the writing credit for just like a cameo appearance.
I'd love to have you be the dead guy.
Yeah, uncle.
Wait, can I be the dead uncle? That's like.
Well, we could do flashbacks when you're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought you were just gonna put me as like some, you know, like
Waiter.
or like a liquor store clerk or something.
Target guy.
that you accidentally hold up because your wallet is stuck in a paper bag or something, and he thinks it's a gun, and then he gives you all the stuff for free, and then you walk out, and Mary's like, "I got it for free," and then Suwon's like, "That wasn't free. The cops are coming. Let's get out of here." And then you're on the run. Like that's how all this plays out.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, guys, I'm already writing. I have all this in my head. I'm going to write it down and we'll do it. All right. Well, that's been our show, everybody. I'd like to thank our wonderful guests, Mary Becquet and Suwon Weaver. Thanks, guys. I have been your host, Keith Graber. Check back next month for another episode of Everybody's a Comedian.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yay, Keith. Thank you for having us.